Okay, so today we continue with chapter 3 of Abhidhamma Kusha Bhashya by Vasubandhu. We will talk about the world. In this chapter, we shall explain mainly the impure effects or the results of sentient beings' karma, namely the world of sentient beings and the receptacle world as well, where we live. So, in other words, we will share the world. We will share the entire samsara as it is. And after this, in chapter 4, we will explain the reason behind which give rise to the world of samsara that we call karma. And then chapter 5, we will continue with the fundamental driving force for the various karma or actions, which are the contaminants or defilements of sentient beings. First, because of the results or the effects of samsara, as what it is, they seemingly very gross as compared to karma or defilements, and we are mostly aware of this in our daily life even. And so we start from the world, and in this world we have this is a picture I got from a Chinese. It's a snapshot in Chinese source, and it shows the 10 dhatus of sentient beings. Among them, we have 6 kinds of worldlings or the ordinary beings. Like we have devas, we have humans, we have animals, the hungry ghosts, and we also have hell beings. Sometimes we also talk about the asuras. And then above them, we have 4 types of noble beings, and they are the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, and the Paticca Buddhas, and also the Shravakas. So, what makes a being? What makes a sentient being? And in Buddhism, we say with the 5 aggregates, or maybe 4 if it is in a formless realm. So with these aggregates and especially the continuum of consciousness, then yes, one is called a sentient being. A noble being is also called a sentient being if if he or she has not entered into nirvana. So let's take a look at the 3 realms which we have discussed earlier, and we'll mention these 3 realms many times during the whole course. The first one is the Kamadhatu, also we call it the realm of desire or the desire realm, where we have lots of defilements and bad actions. They are commonly present. We do also have good actions, of course. It's just like compared to those defilements and bad actions, the good ones are not overwhelming, as we can also experience. And when we say it is the realm of desire, then we can also ask the desire of what? Well, we have desire. We have a lot of desire for fortune, for sex, for reputation, for food, and for sleep, things like this. We can also say that sentient beings living in Kamadhatu, we have a lot of desire for the visible form, the sound, the odor, the taste, and the tangible. Above Kamadhatu, we have the Rupadhatu, the form realm. That's the realm of fine materiality. It's free from sensual craving. When I say sensual craving, meaning the kind of attachments associated with our eye, our ear, nose, tongue, body consciousnesses. So therefore it has surpassed the realm of desire, but it doesn't mean they do not have defilements. They are the sentient beings living in the realm of in the form realm or this realm of fine materiality. They are detached from defilements in the realm of desire, of course, but they still have a lot of defilements that exist in their own realm. They are attached to their own defilements. Well, at the same time, we have to say they have surpassed our desire realm when it comes to the merits or the bodily appearances or abiding places and the meditations. and so on. So yes, in that way, or in that sense, we say they are superior. We also have this arupya dhatu, the formless realm, which is also the realm of immateriality, where the mental stream relies on the sameness and the life faculty. There are obviously no separate abiding places, as sentient beings being reborn into this formless realm. They don't have bodies, and there is no form, no directions. There are no such things over there. So they're reborn with four aggregates, except the aggregate of form. And if we take a look at this one, then we have an overview of sentient beings living in the three realms. For example, in Kamadhatu, we have the 8 hell beings, 8 kinds of hell beings. In Sanskrit, the hell is Naraka. And we also have animals, and we have hungry ghosts. We have the 4 human continents. And then we have 6 god groups as well, the devas. We shall examine, go through them one by one, maybe. But the eight hells, the word, or the sentient beings being reborn into hells, they are manifested mostly due to very bad actions and with tremendous torture. And the animals and the hungry ghosts, these 3, altogether, they are sometimes called the 3 miserable or unfortunate planes. The Tibetan word for hungry ghost is idak. Well, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but it means in Tibetan that it means missing or driven by something. As these hungry ghosts, they're always missing or looking for food due to their endless hunger. And about the human planes, or the 4 human continents, the reason we are called humans is that we are characterized with a lot of thinking and a lot of mental activities. Well, which sometimes are also very helpful, especially when it comes to hearing and reflection of the Buddha, of the Buddha's teachings. When we hear some Dhamma, when we think what it means, and when we reflect on it, that's helpful. And if we don't use it for this purpose, and sometimes it can bring troubles. The deva, the god groups, the deva itself, deva means in possession of joy. They do have a lot of joy. And among these six god groups in Kamadhatu, and we start from the bottom upwards, then the number 4, the tusitas, the joyous ones. It is where Bodhisattva Maitreya lives right now. The next Buddha that is coming to our world. We have 17 places in Rupa Dhatu, distributed in the 4 dhyanas. We also have 4 places in the formless realm. But according to Vasubandhu, these 4 places in the formless realm are not due to higher or lower locations as compared to the desire realm or the form realm, but with birth of varied merits. Because as mentioned earlier, they don't have form, they don't have directions. So, but then why in such order, according to Sambhagabhata? It's because these 4 places, they manifest a gradual detachment from the lower stage, therefore have resulted as the correspondingly have the resulted samapatis. So this is just an overview. Let's take a look at the 5 destinies, which we very often would mention. The 5 destinies, they are the hell, hungry ghosts, the animals, devas, and humans. In Kamadhatu, in the desire realm where we are now, we have all the hell beings, all the hungry ghosts, all animals, and all humans, plus a part of the devas. While in the two upper realms, the form and formless realms, there are only devas. Only devas, that's their sentient beings. There's no other kind of destinies over the two upper realms. So how do we understand this? We are talking about beings who having relied upon their consciousness at rebirth, and they will proceed towards a particular destiny. So once they have arrived a certain destiny, then they belong to that destiny. This moral quality is not defined. You cannot say this destiny is good or bad. That's not appropriate. So therefore, the moral quality is not defined. And there is a special case, or that is the intermediate beings, or we call them the bardos in Tibetan. They are sentient beings, of course, but they are not classified as a destiny. And the reason is that these are beings who have not yet taken birth into nor moved toward any destiny. They are, in other words, they are on the way. They have not arrived any destiny yet. So they are sentient beings, but they are not a destiny. There is a debate on the classification of asuras, because we mentioned asuras earlier, but obviously in these 5 destinies we don't see the name asura, because there are some debates. According to Asanga, can asuras be considered as an independent destiny? And Asanga said no, because they are included already under the destiny of devas, because they have very similar physical form and enjoyments with devas. Well, I say similar, but not exactly the same. And they also intermarry with the latter, because sometimes the devas would marry the daughters of asuras, because their daughters are really pretty. And they're called non-deva due to the lack of divine virtues. The asuras, much of the time they could be in a bad mood maybe, and they could be a little bit jealous or angry towards the devas. And that's another story. And according to other sutras or other sources, for example, Mahayana Sutra, Sudama Sutra, they say that for those asuras that live inside the ocean or below the sea level, and then they are animals. They belong to the destiny of animals. And if they live above the ocean, then they belong to the destiny of devas. And according to some other schools, like Mahasanghika, for example, asura is established as an independent destiny, is the number 6. Let's compare these two concepts, the 5 destinies and the 3 realms. We should be aware that these two are not the same. The 5 destinies do not encompass good or divine. They are totally non-defined as an effect of retribution. And they do not include the receptacle world. They are purely sentient beings. And they do not include the intermediate beings. They do not include the bardos, because the bardos have not been born yet, have not entered or arrived at any destiny yet. However, all those that are not included in the 5 destinies are included in the 3 realms. So the range of the 5 destinies is obviously narrower than that of the 3 realms. And that's the 3 principles I would like you to be aware of. The 5 destinies are by nature non-defined as effect of retribution, and the intermediate existence, or the bardo, are sentient beings, but it is not included within destinies. And the concepts of the 5 destinies and the 3 realms, they differ in scope and range. Next, let us take a look on the 4 modes of birth, which are quite interesting. First of all, these four modes of birth of sentient beings have actually covered, they include all sentient beings. If we say a sentient being is born, it must be born via one of these four modes. Either born from wombs, like cows, horses, pigs, and so on. That's the first mode. This kind of sentient beings, we say they have very close relationships with their mothers. And usually they are not able to live alone right after birth. And the second type of mode is born from eggs, like chicken, geese, cranes, peacocks, and so on. As compared to those born from wombs, they have less closer relationship with their mothers, but still they would need their mothers to hatch the eggs. And the third mode of birth is born from moisture, like worms, insects, butterflies, mosquitoes, and so on. They're not born in wombs, and at the same time there are no apparent eggs that need to be hatched by the mothers. And also we have the last mode of birth is the apparitional. The apparitional births like gods and hell beings and so on. This kind of mode is independent of parents. You don't really need a parent, need parents to for this. And they're extremely fast manifestation due to consciousness, desire, and karma. So let's first take a look at the four modes among humans, because this is quite different as what we usually think of. We usually think that humans, they are born only via the mother's wombs. But according to the recordings, but with the recordings in the text of Buddhism, humans can actually be born from either of these four modes. Now, born from wombs, well, that's the most common mode we are very familiar with. And born from eggs, for example, the brothers, the twins, okay, the Sila and the Upasala, they were born from crane eggs after a man had an intercourse with a female crane. When they grow up, they got ordained, they were ordained as monks, and eventually they actually became arhats. They became the perfected beings. Also, we have these 500 sons of King Panchala. The queen was rather ashamed after she laid his 500 eggs. So she left those eggs floating in the river all the way downstream, which were later adopted by the neighboring king. And when they grow up, they became warriors. They became the best warriors actually. And when these two countries had a war, the king Panchala was very nervous. But then these 500 sons, the 500 generals, they came nearby. So the queen told the king Panchala, "Don't worry, we will be fine. They are all our sons." Humans can also be born from moisture. For example, the Cakravartin king Mandata, who was so famous. He was born from a lump on his father's head. And his story was also very impressive. But let's leave it next time when we have time. And we also have this Amrapali. She was born from the stem of a banana tree. So these are the examples that humans can also be born from moisture. Then the apparitional birth for humans, especially during the beginning, at the beginning of each kalpa, at the beginning of each great kalpa. That is, they are born without parents, and they came directly from the dhyanas. We also have four modes of birth for animals. The most one of the examples could be the naga and also for the garudas, of course. And about the born from wombs, from eggs, and from moisture, these are we are already very familiar with, and we can see them in our daily life. Well, according to some text, Nagas and Garutas, they each have 4 modes of birth with different level of powers. For example, the apparitional Garutas, they are the most powerful because they can take the lives, they can eat Nagas of all 4 modes of birth. They can eat the apparitional, they can eat Nagas from wombs, from eggs, from moisture, whatsoever. And Garutas born from wombs, they can eat 3 kinds of Nagas, except those apparitional Nagas. And Garutas born from eggs can eat 2 kinds of Nagas, except those apparitional and those born from wombs. While Garutas born from moisture can only eat Nagas born from moisture. Same. Then we have sentient beings exclusively apparitional. They are hell beings, which are due to powerful and bad karmic force. And we have devas, which are also exclusively apparitional, no matter if they are devas in the desire realm or in the upper 2 realms. They got reborn due to powerful and good karmic force. And we also have the intermediate beings, the bardos. They arise immediately or very shortly after one dies, due to the karma. Then we have hungry ghosts as well. Hungry ghosts, we say they have dual modes of birth. Most of them they are apparitional, but some also get born from the mother's wombs. For example, once a hungry ghost told Malgao Yayana, one of the famous disciples of Buddha, and she told Master that during the daytime she ate 5 of her own kids, and during the evening she ate another 5. However, it doesn't really help. She was still very hungry. And there was another story actually, that a female hungry ghost, she once asked a disciple of Buddha to bring a message to her husband, who went to India looking for food for the family, for her and for their kids. And after 12 years, her husband hasn't yet returned. So she wants this master to bring a message to her husband, and ask him to come back as soon as possible. Next, we have question: among these 4 modes of birth, which one covers the most sentient beings? So which type of sentient beings are the largest in number? According to Vasubandhu, that is the apparitional birth. So sentient beings of apparitional birth are the largest in number. Why? Because, well, this birth mode includes part of the humans, part of the hungry ghosts, well, most of them, and part of the animals, and all beings in hells, and all beings and all devas, and plus all intermediate beings. Because we know that's really many, tremendous amount of sentient beings through this kind of birth mode. So as we have discussed about the intermediate beings, let's take a closer look on this type, because they are also very they're also very big in numbers. They're everywhere. The bardos. First, these intermediate beings, they come between the existence as death and the existence as birth, and they have not arrived at the place it ought to go. As we explained earlier, they're not a separate destiny. They're more like a stopover during a journey, not a destination, right? It's like a bus transfer. So we say that they arise. We don't say they get born. That's the reason for it. And the second property for the bardos is that it has a similar form with the sentient being of the common existence, as being projected by the same karma. what it really means is that, for example, if this sentient being is going to be a pig in the next life, and then so during the intermediate stage, this intermediate being will have the form of a pig, according to Samastipata, for example. And the third property is that they can be seen by their own class and by the pure divine eye. For example, an intermediate being of human can also be seen by other intermediate beings of human, and they can also they cannot be seen by intermediate beings, for example, of animals or of hungry ghosts, but they can be seen each by each other in the that belong to the same class. They can also be seen by the pure divine eyes, but I have to say, not all pure divine eyes. Those born divine eyes, like those devas, they cannot see the intermediate beings. But those who have divine eyes via cultivation, then yes, they can see these beings. They are apparitional birth only, due to very instant karmic force that drags them to transmigrate further. And also, the intermediate beings, due to the karmic force, they cannot be turned away by any other force from the place they are to be born in. If one is determined to be a pig in the next life, when the intermediate being has already arisen, then it will be reborn as a pig. There's no way around. However, the Mahayana has a different view on it. If all goes right, there is a chance for this karmic force to be turned to other directions, to other destinies. Or in the best case, if everything goes right, the best case could be that this intermediate being even has an opportunity to be liberated or to be reborn into Buddha's Pure Land. And we have more details about the intermediate beings that I would like to share with you. First, it's good to understand this continuity of the five aggregates. From the death existence, and the next one is the intermediate existence, which is the Bado. Then get reborn, then we have this birth existence. Then the primary existence is like the period that we feel alive, like when what we are what we are now, who we are now. In this life, you are named someone and you live for many decades, like you live in 70, 80, 100 years old in this world. That's the primary existence. And then it comes to the death existence. Again, after that, if you will transmigrate further, you will have another intermediate existence for that. So more details about the Bado. We will talk about the colors, because the intermediate beings of hell beings, those that are going to transmigrate to the hells, they have this charcoal color. And for animals, we have a smoky color. For the intermediate beings of animals, they will have this smoky color. Also, the intermediate beings of hungry ghosts, they have a watery color. And for the desire realm, humans and devas, then they have the intermediate beings have a golden color. And the intermediate beings for the form realm, that is going to be a white color. They also have differences in the body form. In the desire realm, the intermediate beings appear like a 5 or 6 year old child and naked. For most of us that are going to be reborn in the desire realm, the intermediate being is like this. But there are always some special cases. For example, the white robe bhikshuni. She was born with a white robe on her, and when she grows, that white robe also grows. When she got ordained, that white robe just turned into the kind of robe suitable for ordainment. And that was due to her previous vow, which were obviously very powerful. Another special case is the last life bodhisattva, due to perfected merit and wisdom. Last life bodhisattva. And that is the bodhisattva who is going to obtain Buddhahood in that life, like Prince Siddhartha. And as compared to the desire realm, the intermediate beings in the form realm, they are fully clothed in a full body size. Meaning, when a sentient being is reborn in the form realm, the newborn will have the same body size as those who have been reborn there already for a while. So there's not really a difference between the newborn and not newborn when it comes to the body size. And they're fully clothed because they have this modesty and they have this shame. Unlike beings in the desire realm. When it comes to mobility, these intermediate beings, they can pass through objects unhindered. Like they can pass through trees, walls, mountains, and so on. However, they cannot pass through a mother's womb if that is really her or his mother. Then, when they meet the mother's womb, he or she, the intermediate being, will be trapped and locked in the womb due to the karmic force. They also cannot pass the Vajra seat. That's the place where the last life Bodhisattva is going to obtain Buddhahood. That's where it is. So also that was due to the power of Buddha. And then about the food. The intermediate beings in the desire realm, they eat odors. And when it comes to the intermediate beings in the form realm, they don't need odors. Since the intermediate beings here in the desire realm, they eat odors, they need this kind of food, it can explain the Tibetan tradition of smoke offering. When a family member dies, for example, they will offer smoke. Like they will mix some food and then burn the food to generate a lot of smoke. They will do it 7 weeks continuously. There's also a similar tradition in China. They don't burn the food, they just offer the food directly, and they do it every 7 days. And the last topic we would like to share about these intermediate beings is about the awareness of rebirth from the intermediate state. For ignorant and ordinary beings, which are the most common case, is that we are completely unaware of the time we enter our mother's wombs, and we are completely unaware of the period we stay in our mother's wombs, and also we have no idea at all when we have left the womb. That's the norm for ordinary beings. But among the ordinary beings, there is one kind, which is and that is the weird turning king. They are ordinary beings, but they have accumulated more merits than the other ordinaries. So that's why they are the Chakravartin kings, and they are aware of entering the womb, but they are not aware of the period staying in the mother's womb or living in the womb. And then when for Pratyeka Buddha, they are aware of both entering and dwelling in the womb due to much greater wisdom as compared to ordinary beings, including the weird turning king. However, the Pratyeka Buddhas, they are not aware of living the womb. And then is the Buddha. He is fully aware of all these 3 stages due to the perfection of merit and wisdom. So that's all about the intermediate beings, or the bardos. Next, we will continue with the 4 types of sustenance, and after that we will talk about the dependent origination, which is a very fundamental teaching from Buddha.